Hello. How's everyone doing tonight? I want to do a quick mic check to make sure the mic is coming through good and good for everyone. Make sure everybody can hear it out there. All right. So everyone can hear me pretty good. Just want to make sure. Sounds good. Okay, great. Awesome. All right, tonight I was going to do a short live stream. I want to talk about tonight the website that we've been putting together, and the website I think is really going to be very beneficial as I've added some more things to it. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here. I think I've got the most of the issues that we've been seeing since it launched originally last Saturday. I believe that most of those issues have been worked out, and I've added in some more features. And please, in the comments, make sure to see list features you would like to see incorporated that maybe haven't been thought of, things that you think would be beneficial to the community as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and I'm going to do this. Takes just a little bit of rearranging here. All right. Make sure everyone can see that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move the chat overlay off here, and I'm going to try and keep an eye on it so we have a little more room to view the website on the shared screen here. Okay. So the website, I do believe I got the security issues worked out. If you'll notice up top, that is showing that I'm able to log in, and it's showing up as a secure site now. And that was one of the primary issues we were having. If you're logging in and you're still seeing the redirects, you may have to clear your cookies one time for the old cookies from the old site to be deleted. And you can do that under the three buttons up top. And if you're using Google right here, and going down to your settings, and under your settings, you'll have an option here to clear your different history information. You can clear your cookies. Depending on what type of browser you're using, it'll give you the option to clear just the cookies for this site, or to clear all of them, so that may be something you may have to do if you still see that issue, but we should be able to log in and log out without much of an issue at this point. So you say you can barely hear me. Let me make sure my mic is turned up here. I want to check the sound settings. Testing. Yeah, it doesn't sound as loud as it should be. Master volume. So it's coming in good for you, Donna? All right, so let me check. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Maybe I can turn it up down here. And let's just make sure right over here. Line. Showing everything is okay, showing everything is wide open on my side right here. Yeah, so I can't really raise my volume anymore. All right, so let's look at some of the things. First question I want to ask is to make sure that everybody's able to log into the new site. I noticed that there were a lot of people that had actually installed the BuddyPress onto the original Serious Survivor site. That ends in the R, not S, as survivors. And there were a lot of people subscribed on that site. And I wanted to make sure that everyone, who subscribed on that one, as opposed to the SeriousSurvivors.com, and I'll put up both links here in just a minute, that, maybe you move on over to the SeriousSurvivors.com, because this is going to be that site, the original site, Serious Survivor. I will be using a lot of backlinks on this site for documents, for manuals, for things like that. And it'll be like a storage site for information, whereas the Serious Survivors site, that community, will be the actual community where we communicate with one another. And there's a lot of interesting features that I've added in on it. So if you're having any problems with the login, on it, then email me. I'm trying to get to everybody's emails. I can't say that I responded to every one. If you email me at survivor@serioussurvivor.com, if you're having any type of any type of issues logging in, then we'll work on that. Some may have to actually like delete an account and send a link for people to actually restart their account if they want to do that. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that I've been adding in, and we're looking at it right here. I'm logged in as just a standard user, so I wanted to show some of the options that a standard user is going to have before I go back onto my admin profile to look at some of the things that are coming very shortly on this site. So most of the pages haven't really changed that much, but there are some new features in here that I think could come in handy. Some people may utilize them and some may not utilize them. On your account page, if you go to your standard account page, then it's basically just your account, and there's not a lot of information here. You can change your password. I can set my account to being private or public, and that all depends on what you want out of your account, if you want it to be private or public. The main difference is if I set it to private, if I set my account to private, if I go here, then it's going to hide me from the directory. And what it's also going to do is if people do a member search, then I wouldn't show up on the member search. So that would be just an option depending on what you wanted to do as an individual. I'm just going to leave mine public. Basic options that we see on our member page here. You can delete your account. You can download all of your information if you want to download all of your current information. And that would include the documents, any documents that you've uploaded and things like that. Because now we have the ability with some things I've incorporated, you'll be able to upload video, documents, pictures, a lot of different things that weren't available when it first come out. Now the layout, the over general layout as we see is pretty basic, and I've sort of stuck with that basic option for right now. And, as little time goes by and as we get more comfortable with the features that are on the site, then we'll look at that point at, adding some things to make it, I guess you'd say, a little prettier or whatever. But for now, this is the functionality that I want to get to working, because I feel like the better, the more ways we have to communicate with each other, then the better off we're going to be. And that's what the whole site is about. We know that the activity up here, our activity tab, that's still our main activity feed. That's going to basically gives you a little information about yourself here, and you can, post here. And it's our activity feed. And once again, this is one of those areas that I'm making it look a little functions pretty much just as any other activity feed that you would expect. You can add comments onto any activities. You can create posts in here, and pretty standard options that we expect on it. So our auctions tab, now this has not been implemented yet, but what the auctions are going to be is they're going to be like fundraisers. Basically, there's going to be a lot of different survival gear, and this is going to be open to pretty much anybody in the community here that has something they want to auction, because I do want to be able to offer a buy and sell page to where people can buy and sell and barter and trade items between one another. And the only pay method that I've incorporated on any of this right here is PayPal. So that's sort of up in the air as to what type of, checkout we would use if you were to sell individually between you and another user. But that will be enabled later for those that are interested in, possibly trading some items, possibly selling some things, and things like that. So that'll be implemented a little bit later. But one thing to the groups tab, if we look at the groups tab next, is when we go to the group, that I've opened up the create a group, at least for now, to everybody. I mean, we don't want to get just completely saturated with groups, but this gives anybody the ability who's a registered user of the site to create a group. If I wanted to create a different group, then we'll go through the process right here. I'm going to create a group right here. So this will be available to anyone registered on the site. The first section you go to when you click on create a group is it's going to take you to a page, and it shows you the different things we have to, or options we have when creating a group. Our details of it, the settings, chat, if we're going to enable chat features, documents, uploading documents, photos, cover image, and then invitations. So if I wanted to create a group here and I wanted to call this Southeastern, I'm just going to say Southeastern US. And this would be just a very short description for time reasons here for those in this area. Just a very short description. And I just click create a group and continue. Then I select, is this going to be a public group? Can anybody join this group? Or maybe I want to make this group private so that only people who request membership and are accepted can join the group. Now, the difference between private and hidden, what we see here is a private group will still be listed in the group's directory and in search results. So that means people will see the group as they're searching through that, and they'll have the ability to ask for membership at that point. And that'll be good for some groups, but there may be other groups that we want to keep hidden. And I've also added an encryption feature on the website this week too. So all of the internal traffic, all of the messaging, even the phone calls and video calls that are enabled in here will be encrypted. So that gives us a little more security, you know, a little more peace of mind, I guess we could say. But depending on what type of group you want to create, the 3 different options, public, anyone can join. So all they have to do is click join and they're a member of that group. And group content and activity will be visible to any site member. Private groups can only be accessed. You can only view the content if you're a member of that group, but that group page will appear on the group overall page that we see up here. If you want to create a group that is just between you and certain members or certain individuals or even certain other groups, then you can create a hidden group. And the hidden group gives you the ability to create this group. It will not show up in the members directory, and it will not show up if someone does a search in the groups looking for it. Only those who are members of this group, people that you actually invite to this group, will be able to see this group in their group list under the members, under up here, our group tab. Or if you notice down at the bottom right-hand corner, you can't really see it from my picture right here. Let me move that picture. I'm going to do it. Now I have to turn my camera back on, otherwise the audio doesn't work right. If you click on that tab down there, you'll see that it pops up your, in this case, messages, groups, and it'll have a list. It shows a list of all the groups that I'm a member of. Since I just created this Southeastern US group, even though I'm not done with it yet, I'm still a member. Unless I were to cancel out of that, then that would disappear from my list. And this gives me a little quick reference that I can just send messages directly into these groups without having to go through the group page, enter the group. I can actually send messages here through these groups. If I were to click on South Carolina here, then it's going to allow me to create a post to put directly into that South Carolina group. Even though I'm not actually sitting in that group right now, I could create a post and I could just say hello or whatever my post needed to say. And now it's there. Also in these messages, you know, you can do the basic things that you would expect. You can upload files. You can upload pictures. There's the emojis and the GIF things here. They just sort of come along with the package for those that are into that. Then you have those options there too. Now I'm just going to close out that message. You can also check your messages here under your message tab. It'll show you a list of all the recent messages that were sent to you directly, whether they be private or public messages, they'll still show up on this list. Now this profile that I'm on right here, I just created a little while ago, so I haven't got any friends. Now there'll also be a third tab in the middle right here that says friends. And this will be a list of all of your friends that, you know, and it'll show whether they're online or offline. You can also at the very bottom down here, once again, covered up by my picture, I see, but on the bottom, if you click on your icon for your name, where your name is, it'll bring up this little option right here. And this gives you the option to appear online, to appear away, or to have a do not disturb icon to where people can't message you and you will not receive sound notifications if you decide to go into do not disturb status. So some pretty standard options for the messaging. These are more like shortcuts to be able to post into your groups, to check your messages, and to instant message your friends. All right. Now to continue with the creation of the group, I'm just going to make it a public group, and I'm going to put it in the group type here. I've only created 4 different group types. If anybody had, like I said, please, all suggestions are welcome and needed right now. So if you have any more suggestions for group types, this is just the beginning. We're just getting started here. Then we'll add more group types. In this case, this is just, I'm going to put it in the states group. Now it'll automatically, which members of this group are allowed to invite others. You can decide to allow all group members to invite other people into the group, just the group admins and moderators only, or just the group admins only. You are automatically an admin if you create a group. You're the admin of that group. And you can assign permissions to other users in that group to make them moderators or to make them admins so that they can create pages and things like that within that group. And we're going to see a little bit of that as we go into a group here in a minute. Group messages. If you enable or disable, that's pretty straightforward. But what that does is that means I cannot post messages straight into my groups with my icon on the bottom right over here. This is probably, that depends on your particular usage of it. But most of the time, that's probably going to be enabled so that we can actually receive and send messages back and forth through our group. So now I click Next Step. And basically here, I decide whether I want to enable group chat. Now, what group chat is it's more of like the old style chat rooms that you used to see. And we're gonna look at one here in just a moment. But if I want to enable users to use the group chat or the chat room feature inside of the group, I have to enable that right here when I create the group. So I'm going to enable that and click Next Step. Next is Documents. Documents allows you to basically upload, download documents, and even edit them within the app right here. And it gives you a lot of different options. As more documents are added, we'll see a lot of different options, even creating documents here and listing who you wish as the author and co-authors of these documents. It's a pretty strong tool for those that like to use. I use a lot of documents myself, and I'll be uploading a lot into various groups and all through here so that people have them as resources. And we're also going to incorporate an actual document page that has a complete list of all documents that will eventually, be listed on the website here. So a really good resource there. Now, minimum role to associate docs with this group is you have your options here, your group member, moderator, or admin. If I leave it on member, then that basically gives, anyone who's a member the ability to modify, add, delete documents to this particular group. So depending on what your needs are, then that would be the choice there. I'm going to leave it on group member and hit Next Step. All right. And now I go down to the next 2 are just photo and cover image. I'm not going to, waste a lot of time uploading a photo right now. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that process. You can click Select Your File to open up a window here, or you can drag and drop your photo and it'll upload, and then you click Next Step. And then you have the cover image, the big image behind the basically icon or photo. And same option here, select. It tells us that we need one at least 1300 pixels wide and 900 pixels tall to look right in here. It'll load almost any size that you put in there, but some of them it's not going to look right because you do not have the ability to crop this document or this picture. So keep that in mind as you upload it. If it needs cropping, you probably have to crop it before you upload it right here. And then I click Next Step. And at this point, I decide who I want to invite into the group. Now, this is a public group I just created, so everyone will be able to see it. I can click My Friends, and I don't have any friends on this account, so I'm not seeing anything right here. I have no friends. That's really encouraging, isn't it? But I would have a list that pops up right here of everyone on my friends list, and I can select them all, or I can just pick the ones, that I think this group will be applicable for and send invitations to them. Or I can send invitations to all members. So that option, it depends on what you would, choose to do. So I'm not going to send any invitations. If I wanted to, then I just click on that. And it gives me a list of all members who've made their profiles public. And I can go down through here and I can select any member from the site and, send them invites to this group. And I'm not going to do that right this moment, but we could do that. So I'm going to go on to the next page. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up. And now we've created the group. And as you can see, by creating the group, the profile I'm under right now, I'm automatically the admin user for this group. So I can moderate who comes into this group and who doesn't. All right. Now here I can choose under the management tab, I can choose the different options that members of the group will be able to see. So if I go under management here or manage tab, then it's going to pull up this screen and it's going to show me all these options that I can add into the group or I can remove from the group for people to see. And there's not a ton of them, but there's some. As you can see up here, we have our home, our chat is enabled, docs, members of the group enabled, invitations are enabled, messages, and pretty much most of the things. So here I can make any changes to the group I need. You can go, there's an extras tab right here that allows you to add in, as you right here, as you can see down here. Do you want to make the extras page public? Show it if you do, hide it if you don't. And the extras page is like it sounds. It's another page where basically whatever you want to put on that page. It could be a document, it could be a blog, it could be a post, it could be whatever. But if it's something that you wanted to hide from the general public, then you could just put hide it right here, and only the people that you invite will be able to see this page. So depending on what your needs are. Do you want to make the pages public? Extra group pages will be displayed here. So if I hit show it, then the public is going to be able to see, whatever pages I create. If I click hide it, then I've basically created a private page at that point that nobody, and except for someone who has an invitation or a direct link to it and is already a member, can view. So different options that you can add into each group. So let's go into one of the groups up here, and we'll look at a couple of the different options with not being in a page that I just created. I'm going to go into the South Carolina group right here. So if I go into South Carolina, and notice the first thing you'll see here is a leave group, and that's because I'm joined. So this is a public group. So to join it, all I had to do, like Kentucky here, to join this, all I have to do is click join group, and I'm automatically a member because it's a public group. Now, if that were a private group, then I would have had to request membership for that. So now I'm going to go inside of it and look, and we'll look at a couple of the different options that we see here. All right, as we go down, you'll see that we have the same screens or same pages active in this group that we had just talked about. The home page for the group, extra pages that have been created. There aren't any, so it's basically, if I click on that, it's going to be a blank page because there's nothing extra has been created. The chat. Well, let's look at docs first. Docs, if I had created any documents for this page, then the documents would be shown down here. You can create one from this page, from tab here or the tab here, and you're able to, label yourself as the author, list the date created. You can even implement like SEO tabs and things like that, or SEO tags and such. So the documents can be a pretty powerful tool, depending on how we use those. Members just gives us a list. Invite. If we click invite, it just allows us to invite people. Pages that have been created within the group. So we create pages within the group and we'll be able to access them just by clicking on that. Group messages. If there's any messages to the entire group, I click on group messages and I would see, if you notice, when I clicked on my groups down here in the bottom right-hand corner and I picked that group, like let's say South Carolina here, if I want to send the South Carolina group another message, well, since I'm already in the group, it's doing that. But if I send Southeastern US another message, and that'll pop up the next time I go in that group and check the messages. This is a way to message the entire group because these messages are accessible to anyone that is a member of that group. So if I wanted to create a message for the entire group, then I would do it, either under my groups tab here or either here, so that it's going to show up as a notification for the entire group that there is a message for everyone to read. Now the chat, if we look at the chat here, if we select the chat, then that takes us down to our chat room right here. And this will show you a list of users that are in the chat room. The say means basically enter. So if I want to type into the chat room, I'm just going to type my text into this box. Let's just say ABC, and I hit say, and then it should appear in my user right here. You also have the option to upload a video. I can paste the video here locally or from another location on the internet. There's an emoji option for those that want to use emojis. And there's also an upload an image option for the chat here. So whichever ones, benefit you, all these will come in handy at some point, especially like maybe the video and the images. Now, chats by default are going to also show up in the feeds in your group. So unless you make the chat private, then the chat is going to show up in the feed in the group. So it's just another way that we can communicate. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be incorporating over the next couple of weeks, and I'll be honest, the process of putting this site together, I guess I underestimated the undertaking that it was. It's taken me a little bit longer than I expected, and it's a work in progress. And I think it's getting better as time goes by, and it's going to quickly get better as I get more comfortable with the software that I'm using on this. So it's going to get a lot better. But we're also looking at anyone that wants to help put this together, who wants an editing role in it, maybe to help work on some of it. Let me know. Send me an email, or send me a message on here, or whatever way is convenient for you, because I have no issues with someone who really wants to help out a little bit on it, or help out a lot, however you want to, upgrading that level of access you have so that you can make changes on the pages and help out as much as possible. Because the goal of this is not to be like Facebook or Twitter, to where you just have these bunches of groups to where people just go online and post stuff and nothing ever comes out of it. The whole reason I'm incorporating a lot of the privacy into it, and a lot of the phone call options, and a video call and Zoom that's going to be in probably a week or two, in that is so that groups can actually communicate more than just a message back and forth. You have options for Zoom calls. You'll have options for conferences like that, so that you can get together with people in your area without requiring, everyone to just drop what they're doing for a whole day and go somewhere just so that they can talk for a few hours. It's something that we could do on a remote level and still communicate and get to know the people that are locally, or at least close by, a little better. And these options are going to grow as the site grows. Another thing that's going to be added in is what's called an events and calendar. And what this is going to allow the administrators of each group to do is to coordinate events for their areas. Now, it wouldn't make sense for me to try to coordinate events for Texas. I'm a couple thousand miles from Texas. So this is going to be, once that's incorporated, the administrators, the people who want to take on the role of administrators for their particular state, will be looking at, putting some of this coordination into action, creating events and, creating training events, creating, events for Zoom calls, for conferences, for people just to get to know each other and to get to know each other's skill set, because that's a very important aspect of this group thing. And I'm going to be also adding in what's called, it's a program called the Ultimate Profile Builder that, Scott, if you send me a verification request from your profile page, then I'll approve that. So Nancy, yours is still not showing as not secure. Is anyone else out there having the problem with it showing as not secure too, while we're talking about that? Because I'm hoping it's showing up. I'm hoping that we can get it to show up, be secure for everyone. That's the whole goal of this site, is security, one of the biggest goals of it. So I'll look a little more, Nancy, I'll look a little more at that after I get done with the live stream, and see about getting that, making sure that it's not something that's on my end. It could be something that's, you may have to clear the cookies on yours, on your computer, but if not, okay, Aaron, so you're still having the trouble. All right. And we'll look at that in just a moment too. Because I'm going to make sure that these, that we get these issues solved. So I may have to, for some people who are having login issues, it is possible I may have to delete your account and then send you a link to restart your account. So we're going to look at that because I want to make the actual process to get into the site, a little better than it was initially, because I know there has been a lot of issues with it, and I'm trying to work through there and make sure that everyone can get in it. All right. So let me cover a couple more little things right here, and then we're going to drop back onto these questions that we're looking at right there. All right. So the group, one of the things that's going to be added to the groups also is the ability to, we talked about, create events and do things like that, but the ability to create what's called an LMS, a learning management system. It's going to be incorporated into the site so that people can list, their skills, their abilities, the things that they feel very confident in. And this gives us a really good idea, as to where our group stands. If we know the types of skills and abilities of the other members in our group, and we share the skills and abilities we have, then we're going to have to, then that makes things a little easier as far as organizing things, because one of the big goals here is to be able to organize, our groups into, I guess you could say, response teams in a way. I mean, people that can work together, on short notice and do everything. Oh, you got it, Aaron? Great. So Scott, you can't find the verification link. All right. I will just manually approve yours in a minute. It should be showing in. Arliss, you can't log in at all. All right, because I want to take care of those issues here tonight while we're talking about this, so that everybody can get into the site, because it's not a very useful site if we can't get into it. All right, so the groups are going to be like the heart of the pages. The heart of the site, because that's what the whole site is about, is developing our community, developing friendships and relationships with people around us that we can trust. And there's only one way we're going to know if we can trust people or not, and that's by getting to know them a little bit. And that's the purpose of the Zoom, and possibly those who are comfortable with the phone. There is a phone call option on here. Now, this audio call option on here, let me show you the audio call option. I'm going to log out of my profile here, and I'm going to just go into my admin profile so that I can show you exactly what I want to show you right here. It'd just be a lot easier that way. Okay. Find the right one. All right. Okay. Got to log out and log back in. Be just a second. All right. All right. Now I'm going to log in. All right. One of the issues that I've noticed also is on the login screen when you go to register for the first time, or you have the WordPress login pop up, is the register button's not working on it either. And that's something I am working on. It's like a lot of those things I just have to backlink back to everything, and they are just, can I get email verified? Okay. All right. Yes, I can. And let me get into that in just a minute. All right. Forgot where I was going with this. Oh, yeah. All right. I changed my profile just so I could show a couple of different options here. All right. Now, on the members page, there's another feature that I added that I did want to discuss. And that is a feature that you'll see as opposed to your profile and my admin profile right here. What you're going to see is I have a couple options that you're not going to see on yours. Right here where this suspend button is, if I click that, then that suspends that user. I've implemented what's called a BSR. It's a block, suspend, report option. And in the process of setting this up, so that whenever someone posts on your comments, or if someone's posting on something, it's set up so that we can help prevent a couple of things, and that's mainly spam, because there's going to be a lot of spam. When it comes to websites, spam's one of the biggest thing. So if you see something that looks like spam, or if there's something that someone is clearly threatening you or threatening someone else, then you can report that person to me, and I can suspend their membership, or, you know, suspend their account on here. And we can even block it if it becomes, you know, an issue. So there is the option to you can actually will be able to block a user from the member page, and that will limit them from, they will not be able to, you know, contact you at all. Basically, they'll be blocked from your account. You'll also have the ability to report posts, pages, or anything like that that comes on the site that may seem out of place, or that may seem like it, you know, is something that could cause problems for someone. We're not looking at how to, I mean, you know, we're looking at free speech, and we're looking at, you know, everybody being able to say what they want to say, but we just have to face the fact we're going to have some trolls too. You know, we're going to have some people come into the site that really are not here for the same reason we are, and they'll be here simply to start trouble. And those are the ones that we want to weed out. I got no problem with blocking people that are here to start trouble out permanently. So we do have those options too. So, you know, if that's an issue, then don't hesitate to use that block or that report button. And if you want to report it, then I'll take it over from there. Now, there's also what's called featured users. Now, there are two things that are going to be incorporated into the sites coming up very shortly. And one of these is a way to give back, in a way, I guess you would say, let the site help give back a little bit. And it's called GamiPress. Now, what this does is, if I go to the add-ons right here, this is something that I have incorporated. So you're probably not going to see it on your profile right now, but every time you log in, every time you put a post up, every time you comment on a post, every time you visit the site, you get a certain amount of points for logging in. Now, once you get to those points, or once you get enough points built up, I thought I clicked on it, then you have the ability to cash those points in for like gift cards and things like that. And I'm going to show you as soon as I can find it over here. I'm going to show you what I was, oh yeah, the GamiPress here. Add-ons. All right. And basically what this gives us the ability to do is the more you do on the site, then the more points you get, and you'll be able to cash those in for monetary rewards. You'll be able to cash them in for, you know, trade them in with other sites that you may be members of. It works sort of like those Capital One points things. And these aren't points you get for buying anything. These are just points you get from using the site. Login rewards, points on your birthdays and anniversary. And it's going to be really good, I think, because this is also, it's built into this program that once you reach certain point levels, you're able to trade that in on, you know, for money, or you're able to trade it in on gift cards. And you're even able to use these points as on-site currency. Say, for example, you know, you visit the site, you know, every day for 2 months, and you put up a bunch of posts, and you've done racked up a few thousand points. Well, you'll be able to possibly, you know, use those on the buy and sell and trade page that we're going to have coming up pretty soon, you know, to help you when you're bartering with other people on the site, you know, and that'll be personal, you know, personal sales between you and them, but you'll be able to use those points for that. So it's just a little something, extra added in there, because what they do is basically the reason that they are able to pay for all that is because by using this software, then they'll put, you know how you'll see an ad on the right hand side of the page or something, and they'll put up some ads on the page, and that's basically it. That's how they, I guess, justify, you know, being able to pay out what they pay out on these. So we're going to be incorporating that pretty soon too. And it's going to take it's a little bit more of a lengthy setup, because as you can see, everything on this page is an individual app that I have to install all these and set them up myself. So it's going to take several days, maybe longer, to get this part of it set up. But it's just a little way to, while you're on the site, you're actually earning points that you can, you know, use with like Cabela's gift cards and things like that. So it's just, you know, it's just a little something there. All right. Now, there's also going to be, there will be ranks implemented. and achievements. And the ranks and achievements, what these do is these are implemented also by the number of points, or, you know, how often you come to the site. And really what I'm trying to encourage with the points, I'm gonna be honest, what I'm trying to encourage is people to share information on the site. You post a video, you know, not only do you get points, but that's helping somebody out somewhere along the line. Even if, you know, only a few people watch that video, it might have helped those few people. So just trying to encourage more interaction between everybody, you know, so that we can truly build communities instead of just talk about it. I mean, truly build a nationwide network, build up of individual regions, you know, that basically work together when it really comes down to it. Yeah. The link to the site is SeriousSurvivors.com. And make sure to put the S at the end of survivors, because otherwise it'll take you to the original Serious Survivor site, which that one I'm going to be redoing it before too long, but it's going to be straight up information. This one's the one that's geared towards all of us being able to communicate. Now, along with the learning management system that's going to come in with the groups, this learning management system is going to give people who are interested in it the ability to teach classes online to people who sign up. You'll be able to sign up to a class here through your group, or, you know, through the main activity feed. You'll be able to sign up for a class and take that class, you know, and it's going to be beneficial to everyone. And some of the classes that we're looking at, one of the first ones I'm wanting to get out before the end of the year is a ham radio class, so that we can not just, you know, take the class, but prepare people by taking that class, prepare you for the test that you have to take so you can get your ham radio license, so that way that's a really good means of communication. And should, you know, one of the goals of the site is to be able to coordinate well enough and coordinate well enough with the groups around us, that if every group does have someone who is certified in the ham radio, and we have a way to communicate with each other, which we do now, then we have a nationwide network of communication already set up. So we don't have to worry about just one or two people we're communicating with. If we've got regions in all 50 states with multiple people who have ham license and the equipment to do it, then we have a complete network. So even if we do lose communication with a certain part or a certain area, we still have communication with the rest of the nation, and that'll help us, you know, efficiently help us develop, you know, if there's a response or whatever we have to do, you know, because of that, whatever issue we're facing at that time. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff coming. It's growing, you know, share the site, because that's what helps it grow. We will be implementing now also one thing too, for the administrators of the groups here pretty soon. We're going to be implementing what's called an email check. It's a verification. And what this does is it basically it's a light form of a background check, and it allows you basically to use someone's name and email address. And it would basically give you, you know, things like the pages of the memberships they have on like Facebook and things like that. Now, I know that sounds intrusive, and that's not anything that's going to be done on anyone who does not want it done. And what I mean is, as this site grows and as we begin to truly develop large groups, then we're going to have to make sure that some of the people that are in charge, you know, in particular areas, you know, they're going to have to be able to have a way to verify that some of the people who are joining their groups are who they say they are, you know. So it's not a behind the scenes thing. That's, you know, that's one of the things that's definitely just going to have to be incorporated as things grow. All right. So the site itself, I've got most of the initial kinks we had worked out of it, but it seems like we're still having a few that I'm seeing from some of the comments here. And I think that's most of the new stuff. Oh yeah, on like for example, the friends right here. If I were just to pick, I'll pick my other profile I created earlier today, just so I could test out a few things. On your standard friends list right here, you actually have the ability to video call that person. But as you can see, I'm offline. I actually have the ability to audio call that person, but as you can see, I'm offline with my other account. And there's other options like clear your messages, delete your thread. So we do have that incorporated already, and the video and the audio calls through your messages. And we want to have the Zoom. And the main reason for the Zoom, or similar to Zoom, is so that we can have the conferences, the huge conferences. And that way, you know, we can not just teach classes, but as this grows, we're going to need to communicate. You know, if I'm living in South Carolina, then I also want to communicate with Georgia and North Carolina and Tennessee. I want to know, you know, people in that area too. And this is going to give us the ability to do that. We just have to grow it and, you know, keep it growing and make sure that we share with people that we can trust, you know, more that you feel like you can trust. We want to make sure that we share. Now, keep in mind that, like I said, security is one of the most important things to me on this site. And I take that very seriously. So, you know, I know the login process is not it's just a standard login process right now, but, you know, I'm looking at different programs, and I'm all ears. I'm open to suggestions on other types of security apps that people may have experience with, because this is a community effort. And the more suggestions and the more ideas that, you know, people come up with, the better off it's going to be. You know, because there's a lot of people out there that are thinking of things I haven't even thought of yet, I'm sure. And by sharing those, you know, we'll be able to build it up a little bit more and make it even better. All right. So let me make sure. Okay. Rochelle C, waiting for the email confirmation. I've noticed for some reason, sometimes that does take a couple minutes, and it may go to your spam window or your spam folder if you haven't received it yet. All right. Dan Lee, so you cannot get your email verified. All right. So yeah, right now, if there's still any issues, if anybody's got any questions that I haven't touched on yet, let's go ahead and look at those and make sure that we got everything covered, because I don't want to leave out of here tonight and somebody still not can get access to the site. I want to make sure that everyone can. All right. Okay. So Aaron, you're able to get in. Good. All right. Nancy, is yours still showing as not secure on yours? You know, that's a very good point, Kamikaze. And he says, I hope you protected yourself in case people trade and the trade doesn't go through, meaning somebody sends something and the other person doesn't get it. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about. And that's one of the reasons I haven't actually added that feature, the trade and buy and sell, into there. Fully integrated it into the site, is because there does have to be some way to protect everybody on both sides. And that's one of the things that's, is important. I don't want to put up a page that enables someone to list a product and then someone pay them and it just never shows up. Now there's going to have to be some verification. And I'll be honest, if I can't figure that out on my own, or if there's something that nobody can help me with, and that'll just be a feature that we leave off. Although I'd love for people to have that ability to buy and sell, but I don't want to give the ability for somebody to get ripped off too. So that's something I'm looking at, and I'm definitely we're definitely open to suggestions on that, because there's a lot of different apps that I can use. For example, there are some commerce apps that I can download, and if enough people are wanting to buy and sell to one another, almost like a marketplace type of thing, then I can set that up to where basically, when you go to that page, it would make you, log in with like PayPal or something like that, which would not even be associated with my site. None of those passwords would ever come into our site. I should say, it's not mine. Come into this site, that would be between them and PayPal. I'm just using PayPal as the example. So that way, maybe everybody's verified who buys and sells on there. So there's definitely going to have to be a lot more research that I put in before that's actually incorporated. Yes, and that's a good point there also, Kamikaze. That's a very good point. Can people on your site be verified as having gone through with a trade? And yes, that is an option that is available to me on here. I have the options to, like, say, for example, to add different icons and different verifications to people's profile. And an example of that would be if you're an instructor and you're teaching I'll just say ham radio class, then that would be an icon that's next to your profile, ham instructor. If you're teaching some other type of class, then, you would have that type of verification, so that gives people a pretty good idea when they sign up for a class and they see that somebody's, whoever's teaching that class, and they see the different verifications beside their name, like, hey, this person is, certified with, ham, this person's certified with electronics. It just gives them a pretty good idea of the person's qualifications. But it also gives us, something to showcase on our own profiles. Hey, I've studied these classes and I've passed these subjects, so this is my, just a little something extra. But yeah, there are verifications that I can add along with that as far as the trade goes. First successful sale, maybe this person has had 100 successful sales, things like that. But I want to get the security end of it worked out first. The profiles and the badges and the verifications, I can already do most of that on here, but I just have to verify that the security is going to be good for everybody on that aspect. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's going to be a tricky one to set up, and I'm gonna go a lot deeper into that, just in the research side of it, to make sure that everything is everything's safe for everybody. And there will be more security tools that I'll be implementing. My goal is to not try to overkill the site. And I know right now it's pretty basic. Like, if we look at it, just look at the site right now and go back to it. It's fairly basic as far as what we've got, but right now we got everything we need for a good start. And that's the ability to access and create our groups. That's the ability to, not just modify our own profiles and all, but to meet people that are already on the site, meet people, obtain friends, or, gather friends. And then our activity feed, that's our main activity feed. So we got a really good starting point now. And what I'm trying to avoid doing is, I don't want to just overload by uploading, 100 different apps on here all at once. I'm trying to go pretty much one thing at a time, so that we can build it as we see fit. The next thing that I'm going to be adding on is going to be the Zoom. Once I get the rest of the details worked out on the block and suspend and report, then that's pretty much there already, but I have a few behind the scenes details to finish on that. So once that's finished, then I'm going to move on into the Zoom aspect of it, so that we can have conferences. And, with a Zoom conference, you don't have to show your video. You can still be a part of the conference. You don't have to have video, just in case people were wondering with that. You can actually just do it and, just be a part of the conference or of the class or whatever it may be. So it should be up and running. I haven't, on my end, when I log out and log in on different sites, I haven't had that many issues, or haven't had any issues getting in and out of the site. You may have to, like we looked at earlier, if you haven't cleared your cookies. And I don't. This is not something you should have to do every time you go to the site. If it's giving you issues every time, let me know. Send me an email, survivor@SeriousSurvivor.com, and we'll work on that. But if you went, say, last weekend and really haven't cleared your cookies or anything since then you may want to clear your cookies before you try to get in. And that should take care of a lot of the residual after effects of some of the problems that we're seeing last week. All right. All right. All right. So that was, I just wanted to run through that and let everybody know that it's, I'm pretty sure it's up and running. I know it's up and running, but what I mean is, I'm pretty sure that I've gotten most of the kinks worked out. There's still going to be some more issues that we're going to be sorting through. It's it's going to be baby steps here, but once this core aspect of it, once this aspect, we've got the messaging, instant messaging, private messaging, groups, public, private groups. We've got a lot of different things right here that we already have working for us, and once this is running and to perfection pretty much, and we're going to be adding more features that people need, and more features that'll help people, give them the tools, knowledge, and, the people in their general area that they need to form a good group, to form a group they can count on, and one that actually, has a well-rounded skill set. All right. So, I just wanted to do a short video on that tonight. And also, over this weekend, I'm going to get back into regular videos. I realize I haven't put anything out much in the way of content in the last week and a half. Been spending a lot of time on this, but there's some other things that are really important that are going on that we need to talk about and all. And I really haven't touched on these other aspects of anything. So I'm going to be putting more out this weekend and going to be back to standard video output, which is a lot more than what I did over this past week. But check the site out, tonight and tomorrow. And I'll be doing another live stream in a couple of days talking about some other subjects, but also touching back on the site. Hopefully it's running good for everybody. And hopefully that, we're able to get these initial problems out of the way and give everybody a good place that they can communicate on. All right. So thanks a lot for watching. If there are any more questions, any more issues that nobody's, mentioned in here, or something that you may still have ongoing, remember survivor@SeriousSurvivor.com. And I usually get back to messages as quick as I can, but sometimes it might take, the few hours or whatever, but I'll get back to it, and we'll work out any problems that you have, because I want everybody to, have access to the site. And I want us to be able to build the site together and make it all that it can be for this community. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. God bless. And for now, Serious Survivor out.